Are you a freak? I'm not talking about that type of freak. I'm talking about a control freak. Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about let go and let God and why control may be your biggest issue. But before we get down to this conversation, hit the like and subscribe button and let's get to it. Now, I'm going to do a reference scripture. It's going to be Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, Amplified Version. And it says, but first and most importantly, but first and most importantly, seek, aim at, strive after his kingdom and his righteousness, his way of doing and being right, the attitude and the character of God. And all these things will be given to you also. All right, so that's just, we're going to go at the very end. I'm going to summarize why I led with that scripture. So story time. Let's talk about the lineage of Abraham, because that's where it starts. In Abraham, he had Isaac, and Isaac had two sons, Esau and Jacob, which was later named, which Jacob was later named, be renamed by God, Israel. Okay. Now, when Israel was working for his uncle, right? He loved Rachel. That's who he wanted to marry first. But the uncle kind of deceived him and made him marry Leah, the oldest daughter, first, which he said was part of the custom. And Leah had kids before Rachel could even have, but God said he remembered Rachel, and Rachel ended up having Joseph. Okay, and I hope you're following me here, because I'm giving you context on what's going on. So remember, Rachel was Israel's favorite wife. Okay, that's who he wanted to marry originally. And when she finally had a son, his name was Joseph. So guess who was the favorite of Israel? Joseph, right? Now, let's look at the scripture to see how much of a favorite was Joseph to his dad, okay? And this is going to be Genesis chapter 37, verse 3. Genesis chapter 37, verse 3 through 11. I'm also reading from the translation of the Amplified Version. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a distinctive multicolored tunic. His brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than all of his brothers, so they hated him and could not find it within themselves to speak to him on friendly terms. Now Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brothers, that they hated him even more. He said to them, please listen to the details of this dream which I dreamed. We brothers were binding sheaves of grain stalks in the field, and lo, my sheaf suddenly got up and stood upright and remained standing. And behold, your sheaves stood all around my sheaf and bowed down in respect. His brothers said to him, are you actually going to reign over us? Are you really going to rule and govern us as your subjects? So they hated him even more for telling them that about his dream and for his arrogant words. But Joseph dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers as well. He said, see here, I have again dreamed a dream, and lo, this time I saw 11 stars, and the sun and the moon bowed down in respect to me. He told it to his father as well as to his brothers, but his father rebuked him and said in disbelief, what is the meaning of this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come to bow down to the ground in respect before you? Joseph's brothers were envious and jealous of him, but his father kept the words of Joseph in mind, wondering about the meaning. So did this is where things, get spicy. I don't know about you, but if my brother came to me and I didn't even have discernment from God, and he said, hey, I had this dream, and this dream you were bound down, I would feel some type of way. Now his dad, Jacob, who was Israel, felt some type of way, but he was used to God talking to him. So he understood that if he dreamed this dream twice, there's something behind it. So Joseph was still Israel's favorite, but his brothers, from the multicolored jacket that Israel gave his son, which was usually reserved for the oldest, they were like, oh, okay. Bro over here is dad's favorite. He just all in our face with it. Then he gave him a dream twice, saying, y'all gonna bow down to me. They're like, okay, first daddy gives you his multicolored jacket, and now you giving us these arrogant words from your mouth? Who do you think you are? Okay, so follow me here, because in the video we're talking about let go and let God. And you may be wondering why I'm using Joseph. Well, after he dreamed this dream, Israel sent Joseph with some food because his brothers were in the field. And from a distance, they looked at Joseph saying, okay, hey, they schemed to kill him. But one of the brothers was like, no, don't do that. So they put him in a well and they sold him off as a slave. So Joseph went from multicolored jacket to having dreams about people bowing down to him, to now he was sold into slavery by his own family. I guess it's true what it said. Sometimes it be within your own family that most of your problems come from. So he's sold in slavery. So now you're thinking, how can you have a dream from God but now sold in slavery? Okay, let's read on from Genesis chapter 39, verse 2. The Lord was with Joseph, and he, even though a slave, became a successful and prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Okay? So you may be thinking, Kingsley, what do I do with my situation? Well, sometimes we're put in situations beyond our control. Joseph didn't want to become a slave, but you see that God's favor was on Joseph. And you may be thinking about prosperous. How is he prosperous as a slave? Excuse me. Prosper, it's not always meaning monetary wealth. It could be he was highly favored, because Joseph, because he was favored by God, and because God gave him these certain gifts and skills, he automatically was already the administrator over Potiphar's house. So you could be thinking, if you stop there, well, even though he's sold into slavery, he seems like he's living a good life. He seems like he's in control of his life. Let go and let God. After this, Joseph just minded his business. He don't complain not one time about like, woe is me. He is about the business, right? He's taking care of Potiphar's house, everything. And guess who comes after this man? And the Bible talks about Joseph was handsome. Potiphar's wife was after him the whole time. She kept advancing herself, trying to get him, and he kept saying no. But she was persistent, okay? So there was one moment where everybody left. Joseph was minding his business. Just think about it. You were doing your dad's business, giving your brothers food. You were minding your business, sold into slavery. God favored you. You now the administrator over this Egyptian's house. God's favoring you. You minding your business, and his wife keep coming after you. So when everybody leaves, what happens? Now she tries to get him one more time, and he had a robe on. And he's like, how can I commit this great sin first to your husband, but also to God? So he just runs. She gets the robe, and now she's embarrassed. She's like, okay, this boy don't want me, I'm gonna lie on him. So the guards come back, she lies, said that he tried to take advantage of her. She tells her husband, I get it, that's who you married to. So he ain't gonna think his wife is lying. He's like, oh, you gonna do this? He immediately goes to jail. So let's look at the track record, because I'm saying let go and let God, right? And a lot of times we're just trying to control everything, but this sequence of events, I'm showing you that this was always the plan of God, even though it seems bad in the beginning. Goes from favorite son to slavery. Now he's in jail. So let's go to another verse. This is going to be Genesis chapter 39, verse 21 to 23, Amplified Version. But the Lord was with Joseph and extended love and kindness to him and gave him favor in the sight of the warden. The warden committed to Joseph's care and management all the prisoners who were in the prison, so that whatever was done there, he was in charge of it. The warden paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's care because the Lord was with him. Whatever Joseph did, the Lord made to prosper. There that word goes again. So he goes from favorite son to slave. He's prosperous. He's doing good. He's over the Egyptian's house. Now he's in jail, not of his own doing. And still the Lord's hand was with him. He was prospering. And when you are favored by God and you are prosperous, people can see it. Even if you're in a situation you think you're supposed to be in. Because I can guarantee you right now, nobody wants to go to slavery. Nobody wants to go to jail just to reach their promise. I don't want to do it. I can almost guarantee that you may not want to do that as well. Okay? So by listening to this story up to this point, don't you agree that there may be some hope you can hang your hat on? Okay? So after this, I think you all know the story where Joseph is now elevated because of his interpretation of the dream to the prime minister of Egypt. The only person above him is Pharaoh now. Okay? And because Joseph was faithful with what he always have, and because God favored him, he's now been elevated to prime minister over Egypt. So he went from favored son, slave, jail. Now this boy is in as a prime minister. Okay? So where does let go, let God come into? Well, if you keep asking this question, why I keep saying that is because let's look at the sequence of events with Joseph. Now, when Israel dies, his brothers are thinking that Joseph is going to get even with them. And Joseph was like, no, what you meant for evil, God meant it for good. You remember I told you in the beginning of the video that Abraham, Isaac, and then it was Esau and Jacob, who was later renamed Israel? Well, God swore a covenant by himself to Abraham. And he gave a prophecy to Abraham that his generations will be in a foreign land and they will grow and be fruitful and multiply. Joseph was part of that prophecy. He didn't even know. He was the one who was supposed to usher his people into Egypt. You see, when Pharaoh got him out of jail, Joseph told Pharaoh that, hey, you're going to have, from the dream that you had, that God confirmed twice to you, Egypt's going to have 7 years in the land it's going to be 7 years of abundance, but right after that, it's going to be 7 years of famine. Okay? By Joseph being prime minister, he was able to usher his whole family to Egypt and give them the best land, right? And from there, the Israelites grow in number, in many things for 400 years, just as God had foretold to Abraham. So while his brothers thought that he was going to be mad, Joseph recognized that this was never in his control. The only thing he can control was his attitude, which he did, and his job. Everywhere Joseph went, he did his job with diligence and with discipline. The hardest part is always letting go. But you gotta let go and let God. Remember, in summary, everything's not always gonna be in your control, but what you can control is your attitude and your diligence on what is ahead of you. And remember, if you let go and let God, you win the victory, but God will get the glory. Until next time, talk to you soon.